I'm not entirely sure how this room got so messy. Frankly, I should probably be cleaning that instead of recording. Growing up as a 90s kid, I really enjoyed the X-Men movies. I saw the first two back-to-back when I was around 11, saw them both on VHS and absolutely loved them. And while the movie franchise has really fallen on rough times with the occasional really good film, X-Men 2 is still the one I have the fondest memories of watching. Cut to adult me, and I'm a big comic book reader. I read comics as a kid, but they were the British reprints. A friend of my mother's would get them and give them to me when he was done, so I didn't have a lot of choice in what I read. But as an adult, I get to build on that education and explore much more of what was on offer. Last year, I picked up a book that was on my shelf for a while. It was originally a gift from my sister, but I hadn't gotten around to it. That book was God Loves, Man Kills. I'd read a fair amount of X-Men through the years. Some were newer volumes at the time, others were, for example, the Wolverine story Enemy of the State that my mother had given me years ago. Thanks, Mom. But God Loves, Man Kills is essentially the source material for the second X-Men movie, an anti-mutant stance led by William Stryker. One of the big differences in the character of William Stryker is that instead of being a military man, he is instead Reverend William Stryker. Personally, I think that him being a religious leader is a lot more deadly than having him just be a military man or a scientist. Military men and scientists are powerful, especially with governments backing them, but a religious leader almost speaks for a higher power for those who listen. For the religious-minded, a priest or higher are supposed to have a direct connection to whatever god or lord their religion worships. I have no authority on this matter. I'm not religious, though I find religion in itself quite fascinating. But for a lot of people, their reverend is an extremely high authority figure in their lives. If they say that something isn't right in the eyes of the Lord, people are very likely to listen. Mutants have always been a stand-in for what society deems abnormal to them. For example, the prejudice against the gay community by religious leaders. This still carries on today, but it was especially prominent in the 1980s when God Love, Man Kills was written. This book opens with two kids running away from an elementary school at night, as they are chased down by gunmen known as purifiers. Because both children have exhibited signs of being mutants, mainly the manifestation of powers, both children are shot and hung from the playground equipment, with signs reading "Mutie" across them. The plan is that the children will see them in the morning and set an example. However, Magneto comes across them, takes down their bodies and lays them to rest before they can be seen. Cut to the headquarters for the worldwide Stryker Crusade, where Reverend William Stryker is reading from the Bible and talking about how these X-Men are against all the will of God because, simply, they're mutants, and that he plans to take them out. Meanwhile, Kitty Pryde is at her dance class and picks a fight with another student who starts spouting off anti-mutant thinking. When they make it back to the X-Mansion, Kitty is still furious, while the rest of the X-Men watch the televised debate between Charles Xavier and William Stryker, debating the mutant problem. As the debate ends, the X-Men begin to train in the Danger Room, but while this is going on, Xavier, Storm, and Cyclops are captured and tortured by the Stryker Crusade. The rest of the book is an incredibly provocative look at the problem of prejudice and open-mindedness. The power of swaying opinions and actually listening to the other side. The graphic novel is short, but incredibly well done, with vivid artwork by Brent Anderson, particularly a dream sequence that evokes images of Salem witch hunts or the crucifixion of Christ. It's Chris Claremont's X-Men at its finest, and something I think all comic readers, whether DC or Marvel, should take a look at. So I am reading a lot of random stuff I have in my house. Right now I'm going through the 90s Young Justice stuff, but I talk and read a lot of DC, so I wanted to take a break and focus on a Marvel book that I really enjoy. And it was honestly either God Loves, Man Kills, Enemy of the State, or Man Without Fear, but Man Without Fear I want to spend longer looking at, because that is a book I do really enjoy, and I think a lot of people would enjoy. Far more than they think. Yeah. Anyway, I love this book. I think it has a lot to say. And even though it is short, it's not that much thicker than, say, I think it's about 100 pages, one of those 100-page spectaculars. Although, if you buy a trade copy, it also has interviews with Chris Claremont and a few other people that really do help to shape what they were thinking about when they wrote the book. So I do heavily recommend picking that up if you can. So yeah, till next time.